Let's go for a late spring walk up here in the Colorado Rocky Mountains. Hi, I'm Angel. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out here, it's actually middle of June, even past the middle of June, I think. Right about the middle of June, which is almost summer already, but it's snowed late this season, so we really have what's typical, spring. That's why I call it a late spring. Growth out here, and so thought I'd just come for a little quick herb walk on my break from work time and show you what I can find here early spring. Here's some Oregon grape root. You can tell because it's probably the shape of the leaves, and then I'm going to try to get you closer here so you can see there's little pricklies. They're not like super sharp and sticky, but they're little sharpies on there. This is a thistle. It's got a little bit more sharpies. That's probably a what's the word I'm looking for? Blessed thistle. That's it. It's a big one. It has a nice big purple flower. That's actually in the artichoke family. In case you didn't know, artichokes are in the thistle family, and the blessed thistle flower looks a lot like a small artichoke bloom. It's a very pretty purple, exotic looking flower when it flowers. That'll be later in the summer. Again, like I said, this is a late spring or just spring because we're up in the high Rockies, and there was a lot of extra snow this year, so spring is springing a little later than it might some other years. So we've got a lot of, I don't know what these little white flowers are. If you know, I would love it if you'd put it in the description because they're everywhere up here. Let me show you a little closer up. Those little white flowers, they're all over up here. They sure are gorgeous. I have no idea what they're called. I do recognize some cleavers. Let's see, I saw some not long ago. Here's some wild geranium. It's interesting to come for an early spring herb walk, because things bloom at different times of the year, obviously. Here's a wild geranium. Here's some cleavers. You can tell cleavers by, for one, they often grow under a evergreen tree, and they have this cat tongue kind of feeling to them. The cleavers was actually involved in the invention of Velcro, from what I understand. And if you look at it with not even a high-powered microscope, just a little a little magnifying glass, you'll see it has little barbs, just like Velcro is made. And when you touch it, you can see it has this really nice, delicate white flowers on it, really tiny. And when you pull up like this, it feels like a cat tongue, just gentle little barbs. They don't hurt or anything. They're not real, they won't stick in your skin, but they feel rough like a cat tongue. And that's how I tell my cleavers, even if it's not blooming. And sometimes it'll grow, like you can see this patch here. It often does grow in a patch like most herbs. And see, it's early in the year, so it's just starting to crawl, but it'll probably cover this whole little area here. Here's some scrub oak. Here's a little wild rose coming up from rose hips. Here's some dandelions, good old dandelions up here. There's the thistle and the Oregon grape. More geranium, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, it sure is gorgeous out here. I'd love it if you know what these white flowers are. Please do tell me. I think these are called buttercups. Nope, these are not buttercups. Buttercups have more of a cup. So there's another flower I do not know the name of. If you know it, please do share. I could get out I'm gonna have to do some reviewing of my Rocky Mountain plants, which I love to do routinely. Here's some little, not quite bluebells. I think these are wild columbines, blue columbines, I believe. That's what those are. I did see some bluebells up here. Although I don't see any from right over here this second. Just wanted to share a little of this greenery. Here's some yarrow, not quite blooming yet, early season yarrow. Yarrow's got these nice, delicate, soft leaves. I don't know if I'm showing you that right, but see, that'll bloom into a a white. Sometimes it comes in other colors too, but white is the most common color. We sometimes breed it for pink and yellow hues of, so you might be familiar with yarrow for that. Yarrow used to be used for as an oracle, a divination. Yarrow sticks were thrown and you tell you somebody's future with yarrow sticks, and it's also really handy to stop bleeding. It's a common weed all over the planet. You can usually find some yarrow once you get to know it. It's one of those herbs I recommend people do get to know because it's so common and because it's so helpful. It really does stop bleeding. So you could, it has a kind of pleasant smell, like reminds me of chamomile or little appley or something. It has a similar to chamomile smell. And if you were to crush up this leaf, you could chew it. It wouldn't hurt you, although I wouldn't swallow it. A little one, it's actually a perfectly good tea herb, won't hurt you. But you could chew it up and put it on a cut and it will stop bleeding and help healing a little bit. As well as you can make tea out of it. And it's got a lot of astringent properties, so kind of closes up. It might be good for dysentery or some internal bleeding. Again, I would not use it, in an emergency or unless that's all I had, and then of course I would use it in an emergency, but I wouldn't use it for a critical situation, I guess is what I'm saying. But for chronic situations, that maybe you're, having a chronic digestive issue or a chronic just constitution issue, herb like yarrow. There are some others. Plantain comes to mind, which is common. I don't actually see any here yet, but many of the common herbs are really good for making tea or using in case of emergency, or if you're just out in the wild. It's good to know. Here's a bunch more yarrow. I'll show you real young yarrow without a stalk yet. You can recognize the leaves by their softness, and you can kind of see their fuzzy yarrow leaves. Here's some bluebells. I don't know if those have a medicinal purpose for humans or not. If they do, I haven't heard of it. If you know, please do share in the comments. Anyway, I'll just take this moment to remind you that no matter who you are and what you do, you are worthy of your own love. You are a being of this earth just like every other being. And if we all remember that more often and give ourselves the love we deserve, I think that's our best bet for making the best out of this life, right? Here's another wild columbine. These are pretty, aren't they? Yeah, I like them. There's all kinds of other goodies up here, but I'm not quite certain enough of their names to share that with you just yet. So I'm looking to see if I see anything else that I'm certain of to share with you. I'm pretty sure these are wild currants. Out here, they don't have any berries on them right now. They've probably already, wild currants are some of the earliest things to bloom. That I just heard some stomping. I'm actually on an animal trail here, so could run into a bear or an elk. It's possible. I already saw some turkeys earlier, and I upset some squirrels quite a bit. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions or if you recognize any of these. Look, here's some tiny little bluebells. Those aren't formal bluebells, actually. Again, that's not their proper name, even though they're bell-shaped. So there are actual bluebells and they hang down. I do know what those look like, and those aren't them. This might be some poison ivy here. See that? Leaves of 3. Pretty sure that's poison ivy. I'm not going to touch it just in case. And again, if you know, please do share. That could actually be clematis. That's the other option. Poison ivy or beautiful wild clematis. What do you think? Let us know. I'm not going to touch it and find out the hard way. It does have leaves of 3, which for wild sumac and poison ivy, which are both, and poison oak, all 3 similarly toxic to human skin if you've developed a sensitivity, which I have. So it's a good idea to keep a lookout for things like that if you're wandering out in the bush, in the mountains, by the river, any of that. Last time I got infected with poison ivy and oak or sumac, it was actually in the winter time by the roots. And It was by the hot springs, by a stream. Here's some feverfew, I believe. That's what this is. Look like little daisies. They're kind of related to chamomile, I think. They have a similar smell. Enjoying the sounds out here. As always, you can find other ways to connect with me and support me in the description. I welcome your comments and questions, and I'm wishing you love, laughter, lightheartedness, peaceful conflict resolution, healthy explorations and adventures, and playfulness.